All right guys, today we got a really good one, old school. We got a 2002 Ford Taurus with a 3-liter in it. This thing's running rough, got a check engine light on. Let's get into it. Okay, so pulling this thing in, it's just sitting there. It's got a dead miss. Let's go ahead and let's scan it. Let's see what kind of codes we get. It's really clean car. Got some paint issues. All right. Let's see if it'll. This is a 2002, so it should pick up the VIN, I would think, but maybe not. There we go. Taurus. There we go. No. Here. Wow. There's a lot of models in this one, y'all. Woo! That's probably the smallest little network diagram on this I've ever seen.
Go from a BMW to this.
Yeah. All right. It doesn't even have electronic temperature control because it's manual. So, okay. All right, well, we're not worried about all that. Let's go into the engine module. Let's go to memory codes. Let's see what we get. A little slow on this one. All right, here we go. All right, we got O2 sensor. Looks like bank 2 sensor 2. Cylinder 4 misfire. Misfire detected in startup. Somebody's cleared the codes. When you see a P1000 on a Ford, that means somebody cleared the codes. So we could have more. Pat's problem. And then another. Okay, same O2 sensor. Okay, so this thing's running rough. It's a dead skip. I'm going with the cylinder 4 misfire. Let's just go down that road. Let me go out of this. Let's just see if we get. Let's see what this thing gets here as far as. Come on now. Let's see if we can get misfire data on this. This is going back a little while, so. Should though. We should get something. Ford has got a really good bar graph where when you use even the Ford tool is so fast when you're looking for misfires. Some of the aftermarket tools show the bar graph, but they're not quite as good. This might be under active test. Let's just go down to, just see if it says misfire down here. I was noticing on another Altel tool, and you guys comment down below which one it is, that there's a search bar up here, so you can search for your different PIDs. All right, misfire, but no, it just says that the misfire correction is learned. You've definitely got to do that when you're doing misfire. So they cleared the codes, and then that was learned, I guess. So I think you got to do that after you clear codes. But let's go into active test. Let's see if we get misfire or anything. That's making me sad. Okay. Well, Altel is usually pretty good about having. All right, we don't have misfire. All right, no worries. We got cylinder 4 is what it says. I don't always trust that. Let's go under the hood and let's see what we can find out under here. Put the hood up. Hood props work. All right. Okay. Well, we got a new spark plug wire on there. See that? So if you look on these coil packs, they're really good about telling you what cylinder's what. So if we look right in there, we've got 1, 2, 3. Right, so that's going to be 1, 2, 3, and then 5, 6, 4. So 5, 6, 4. So this is cylinder 4, and 3 and 4 share a coil pack, and somebody's put a wire on 3. So I don't know why they did that or when they did that. If they did that to fix this, I don't know. 4 is going to be 4 is going to be right here. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so let's go ahead and let me get something to, I want to do an ignition waveform on this. These are a little bit different. I've got an old school tool that I'm going to hook up to this thing and just get an ignition waveform pattern on all these. And it's going to help us get to the problem quicker. So give me just a minute, let me get that tool hooked up, and I'll be right back. Okay, so while I was hooking this up, I was thinking about getting some fuel trim data. So I've got long-term and short-term fuel trim here for bank 1 and bank 2. It's not running right now. Got my old school MTS 5200. It's kind of falling apart a little bit. The screen's kind of a little wonky moving around, but it'll be all right. Got the wand, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the cameraman start this car up, and then we're going to pull up some waveforms here. So can you go ahead and start it for me? So it's going to be a few minutes. It's the first time it's running a little bit, I think so. It's not really warmed up. Definitely, we can see the engine. That thing is sitting there. I don't know if you can see that on the video, but that bad boy is shaking really good. We'll wait for the fuel trims to kind of get going, get it into closed loop. Let's go ahead and let's get some patterns here. All right, so there's our suspect cylinder. Okay, I don't see an ignition issue there, honestly. I do see, if we notice right here, see where it tails up really strong right here at the end? It's doing that quite a bit right there. That's usually an indication of a lean problem. See how that one's not really doing it. It's got a little bit of one, right, as it runs out. But look at this one. See the difference in that? And that's okay, and now it's kind of doing it. And there it gets kind of aggressive there. So, all right, let's go ahead and keep going though. Maybe we'll find something very obvious. So this is why I don't always trust the engine computer to tell me what cylinder it is. We might see something where we get on and it's just like totally do the old Sesame Street thing. Which one doesn't look right? That one looks really good. All right, now we're going to go back to the other back cylinders here. Got a little tiny bit of hash, but nothing horrible there. Same thing there. But we notice that it doesn't have that big tail going up right here. Doesn't have that. This thing is just dead skipping too, y'all. It's just dead skipping. That one looks okay. Again, nice ignition pattern. Let's go back over to our suspect. We can definitely see the suspect one. Let's go to another one here. It's just going back and forth. Immediately, as soon as I get to that one, you can see that tail going up. Okay, so I don't feel like this is a coil issue. We don't see anything wrong there. I don't see a coil issue with this. I don't see an ignition problem at all. We could throw a clamp around. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and do that. Because this is fairly easy to get to. Let me go ahead and let's just double check ourselves. While I'm doing that, let's look at our fuel trims. All right, so this is going to be on bank. If it is cylinder 4, it's clearly bank 2. Let's just see if we see anything. Long term on bank 2 is 13% on long and 4% on bank 1. Let's see what the short is. And shorts are running, bouncing around, jumping big time. This one's sitting around, so bank 1 sitting around 7% negative, pulling away a little fuel. So if we take long total those two together, you're looking at about 3% total. We take these two together, jumping around 9 to 7 right now though, and 14, so about 7. But the long term is it's trying to correct it now, but it's not coming down if we notice. Well, look at that, because now it's jumping down. We really didn't do anything here. Yeah, look at this. Now we're at positive, adding fuel, right? Staying here. Now we're going positive, positive. Yeah, okay. So I'm just looking to see, we did a previous video one time, and there was a question on whether or not you could tell if it was ignition or fuel related, depending on the percentage of fuel trim correction. And what I was always told was, if it's 25 or so % correction, it could possibly be fuel problem. If it was 10% correction, it's ignition. I mean, this one we're showing, it's kind of jumping all over the place. But we're definitely have high fuel trim corrections, like it's adding fuel. But then now it's going to be taken away. All right, move on from that. I want to get an amp clamp around here, so I can get to this quite easily. I'm guessing that the red wires are power to our coil, and I'm guessing that these 3 are going to be our control wires for the coil. We already know that it's got control. I mean, it's firing every one of these. I'm just going to get, let me get a scope hooked up. I'm at the Kingsland store here, so let me just use, rather than breaking mine out, we'll use this one. Once we got everything we need here, it was on the charter, so we're good. Oh yeah. That was a Nissan bad cam sensor on the screen there. All right. Let's get the ground wire hooked up. Where do we always go with the ground? To the battery. Easy on these old school ones. All right, so we're grounded there. Let me get an amp clamp here. Just gonna put it on the yellow. All right. I don't know why that just stopped. What did I do? Did something, man. All right, let's get it around there and see if we get it in the right direction. If I can get it around there. There we go. Oh yeah. Hey, there we go. All right, let's see what we got. There we go. All right, this thing's dead skipping. So, as I probably said 10 times. Let's go ahead. So we should see something. We're going to see something with a coil. We're going to see it immediately. So, pan here. I'm not seeing anything that would lead me to believe that that coil, any of those coils, just go down to this one, is going to be an issue. Get a few of them here. Definitely the high and low is a little bit, but you would see it, believe me. If this was something that was a problem with a coil, you would see this. This would be different. Definitely one of them would be, or two of them, or well, it would be one of them if it was one cylinder. But yeah, this is not an issue here. This is not an ignition. This is not an ignition problem. So we're going to go ahead and let's go zoom out to full. Whoops. So yeah. All right. Let me go ahead and we know it's not an ignition problem right now. Okay, I can see from the ignition waveforms, they look good. I don't see an issue there. I see an issue. The only issue I see is, and I can't prove it out 100%, but is this one has got that big upward tail, and it doesn't do it all the time, but it definitely does it regularly. I don't know, I think I can freeze this, but I can't do it like a regular scope, unfortunately. Let me see if I can't get one here to... Yeah, I mean, to stop this one is... That's kind of it right there. It's kind of... You can see the tail kind of goes way up, but there's times when it goes really aggressive, like right there. There we go. That to me is lean. So, all right, let's go ahead and maybe I will tell you this: on these systems, if you've got a misfire on bank on 3, if for some reason the number 3 cylinder is got a problem with it, it can cause cylinder 4 to miss on this type of system. But right now we know that they all look really decent. So we're going to, I don't know why I just turned that off, because I'm going to need that. All right, so what we're going to need to do now is get this out of the way. Let me get this out of the way. I'm going to get into a couple of the injectors. The back bank is too difficult to get to, but luckily for us, it's a front bank issue. I want to see if I can get into the injectors. I know I can get into them voltage-wise. I want to see if I can get an amp clamp around. Let me see where they get power from, and hopefully it doesn't feed 500 other things, to see if I can't get an amperage waveform on the injectors. So let me get that kind of hooked up, set up, look at the wiring diagram. I'll bring you back and we'll go from there. So here's what I've got. I was looking up how to get to, I really like to get to somewhere that's just feeding the 6 fuel injectors. I would get my amp clamp around it and I'd be able to see all 6 injectors, at least the amperage on them at one time. This one, in order to do that, if you want to come over, there's a splice, it says S117 at the top of the engine. Couldn't even really locate where that was. Basically the only information I have is top of the engine. And if we go back and we look at where this thing gets power from, you see how it's feeding. If I can get my fingers to work here, it's just feeding a ton of stuff. It's coming out of a I mean, it's feeding so many things. It comes from the PCM power relay. So it's just, there's tons of things on this circuit. So I can't go back somewhere easy like this fuse, or I'm sorry, yeah, it would be this fuse. I can't go to that because that would literally feed everything that these wires come down to. So if we highlight it, I mean, it breaks there, but then it comes here, it goes here. Yeah, there we go. I mean, you see all the stuff that it goes to, along with the injectors. Let's see here. See, this is one of the things it goes to, is right there. So you see that there's a ton of stuff that's on this idle air control. I mean, there's going to be so much noise on that circuit, it's not even going to be funny. And there's the injectors. So that's okay. I just really need to know. I'll look at 2 of them. So I went to access this, and you can see it's pretty tight, but so right now what I'm in the control side of that circuit, and I am on this one I'm in the control side, right? And I've got amp clamped around it. It could be around either one, but I'm around the power side. So this is going to be, our ground side control from our engine computer. And then this is just going to be power supplied in from that fuse we just talked about to the PCM power relay. So, and then over here we just have our control side from our computer. So let's look at on the screen here. Let's get so whoops, I hit fast capture. All right, so here's our pattern. We don't need much. Again, this thing's dead skipping. Let's turn off everything except the 3 that we have. So we've got our amp clamp on yellow. We've got our red. We got our red in the injector number 5 control, and we've got our green. I know that be careful. Don't worry about the back probe colors. We've got the green lead in the control wire for the injector number 4. So we see the red. We've got control there. Right, so And we got the amp clamp on that, so we see that also. Right, so we got our amperage, and blow that way up. Right, so looks good. We could get our cursors, we can come in here. Let's go ahead and 0, 1, grab the other one. We can go down here and we can see roughly an amp draw, which is exactly what I would suggest, suspect on this one. Sadly, look at our green. So this is our green as in our control. Our green should basically look like our red, but just not right on top of it. Our green's doing nothing. So I got to look in here as I was pulling this thing apart. I was going to try to spread these wires apart so I could get the amp clamp around, and unfortunately these wires are fused together. I mean, you can even see some bare wire, and I can't get these apart. I mean, so if I take, which I wouldn't normally want to do this, but I'm just going to take a pocket screwdriver here, and you can see right here I can get them a little bit apart, but then they get stuck. So right here they are fused together. So now we got to figure out, okay, can I peel them open and will things start to work again, or is this possibly damaged an engine module or something that these things shorted together? So let's see if we can't peel it open. There we go. All right, that just popped apart. Let's see if we see anything really super bare on both wires. Let's go ahead. While I'm doing that, I'm going to go ahead and just see if it starts doing anything. You can definitely see some bare wire there. Let's see if we get lucky and we don't see any bare wire on the other side. Alright, I don't see any bare wire over here. So that thing's actually was probably sealed up against that one, because it looks really clean. It looks really clean there. So, alright, good. Well, that's a positive. We've got, and now let's look at what we've got here, though. We still don't have anything on our green. Let's try this. Let's try cycling the key, and I'm gonna hold the camera. Let's try cycling the key. I'm gonna keep this running, and let's see if the computer will, the engine control module will, if for some reason it was getting there where it was shorted, which I don't see anything bad on that control wire. All right, go ahead. Nope, we still got nothing on the green. Okay. Okay. So I think maybe what happened then, maybe when we went to pull this apart, maybe it just was stuck so bad it opened this up, because this one feels okay. So, and they were definitely stuck together. So, all right, we know we're not going to have any amperage because we don't have any control. So let's go ahead and I'm going to do an old school test here. Let me go ahead and shut it off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a, let me just, and for those of you who watch the channel know I'm not a big resistance guy, but it is a test that we can tell if something's bad. Can't necessarily tell if something's good, but we can tell if something's bad. So let me go ahead and get this out of the way, and I'm just going to get a meter. Got my little box here. I'm working out of this box because I'm in the Kingsland store today, and unfortunately don't have everything over here that I'd like to have. That's mine. All right, let's see if I can't. There it is. All right, let's go ahead. This is. Okay. Wow, it says 4 ohms right there. That's crazy. It says 4 ohm, 3 ohms resistance in this. In these. So, all right, well that's okay. Let's go ahead and look up here. So we're just going to go across this good injector just to get an idea of what it should be. Go. Jumping all over the place. That's why I like. That's why I like my meter so much. Not this. This is my meter also. But all right, what we got here? 16. And this one. I don't know if I'm making contact or not. Let me go ahead and I want to be 100% sure here. Yeah, I know I got the leads on the wrong side, guys, on the colors there. I got nothing there. This thing's open. All right, so that injector's open. Okay. Question now is, if the injector shorted, I could see damage in the engine module. We have no control going to it. Let's see if we have. Just turn the key on. Let me do that. So I'll turn the key on. I want to see if we get. For some reason, we don't have power to. We should have power. We got power on the other one. So, what I want to do that with. Do it with an old school test light here. Okay. Oh, we do have power. Okay, so we do have power. And if we notice, so right off the bat, when we had that hooked up and we were on the control side, all right, we were dead at ground. We had no, so if that thing was not being controlled, if it was not being grounded, then that should have power on both sides of it. If that coil inside of that injector is good, nothing but a solenoid. See, look at, I'm on the control side of that one, and look at how the test light's lit up. So I'm on the control side, and the test light's lit up because I don't have any ground from the engine module, right? So this one should be the same way. It's basically what's happening is I've got power going in here, right? It's going through all the windings in that injector, and then it's just coming back out here. I mean, it's not very. There's no amperage, there's no, really current here, but there is voltage. So this one, if we notice when we had it hooked up, it did not have any voltage on the control side, even if it's not being controlled. So let's say the engine module is no good. If the injector was still good, it should have voltage going through, and we have nothing. So I'm holding that down in there to make sure I got good contact. I got nothing. So that's another way to prove that injector is just open. So that injector's open. So now we've got to figure out, can the engine module drive an injector? Because I don't want to tell the client that, hey, you need a fuel injector, because clearly it needs a fuel injector, 100%. But I don't want to tell them they need a fuel injector and then come to find out the engine module is no good, can't drive it. So let's do, we know we've got power to it. Let's go this way. I'm going to go here. And this, I don't think that this vehicle is old enough that I don't think it's got any strategy that some vehicles you got to be careful. Once it sees a misfire, once the engine module sees a misfire, it will actually shut the injector down. A lot of computers have been put into cars because people thought, oh, the computer's no good because it's not firing the injector, when it's actually a strategy. Once it sees an injector or a cylinder misfire too much, it'll shut an injector down to protect the catalytic converter. This I don't think has that strategy at all. It's just too old for that. So what we're going to do now is I've just got a test light and I've got it hooked to the what we would consider the ground side of the test light, but you see I have it on power. So if I come in here and I go to my control side and then we start the vehicle up, this light should flash. So let me go ahead and start it up. This is like just being like a Noid light. I mean, this is just basically using the test light as a Noid light, because I don't have my Noid lights here. So that's our control side, and we got nothing, right? So just to prove to you that it would light up this test light, let me go ahead and unhook this one, which clearly it just started running bad, worse. There it goes. See it flashing the light? Very dim. I don't know if you see it on the camera, but all right. So let's hook that one back up. Let's go back over to this one. Oh, there it is. Maybe I didn't have contact before. Oh, hang on. It's coming and going. Let me make sure I got good contact here. Come on, baby. Help us out here. Okay, hang on. Let me go ahead. I want to be 100% sure here. I do not want to condemn an engine module if it's just a computer bad. Or, I'm sorry, if it's just an injector bad. I don't want to condemn a module if the module is bad. I don't really want to. Let me get this on the back side of that. I'm not in the pin side. I'm in the back side. No. Looks like it wanted to.
Yep.
Did it do it again? There it is. It's definitely doing it. It's definitely firing that test light. It's not very bright. It's not going to be bright. So, all right. Well, I'm going to tell you where we're going to go with this. Is one, I'm going to fix this wire. That won't be a big deal. We're going to fix that wire to make sure it's sealed up. I'm going to, we're going to tell the client they need an injector, and then warn them that it's possible that the engine module may have been damaged, but from what I'm seeing right here, I don't believe it is. I think it's able to carry enough of a load. So this test light is definitely, it's not an incandescent test light. It is it is an incandescent test light. It's not an LED test light. So this is a little bit of a load. And if we notice that it's doing about the same, come right here. I'm just going to kind of get my hand so we can see it good. Maybe. It's just hard to touch. Maybe it's just... You see it? There we go. So, I mean, that's the same... Yeah, it's the same, you know... I don't know. It's just... I don't know if it's coming and going, if I'm not making contact, but I'm doing it. I definitely don't want to jam it in there. That is 100% making contact. Yeah, guys, I think this engine module is bad. But, you know what? Let's forewarn the client. Might need an engine module. Let's get an injector for it. We 100% know it's got to have an injector. So let's put an injector in it. And then let's see if this thing clears up, right? If it doesn't, well, then we got two ways we got to go here. Okay, is it a connection issue? Is that what's happening here? Because I'm moving this thing around. Because look at there. Now, this could be still a wiring issue with that. Well, we know the injector's bad, so the cameraman just asked, well, the misfire would come and go. But then the injector on this thing is bad, so it's not going to come and go because that injector is open. My thing is an open injector. Think about this. If the coils in the injector is open, then we had no flow, right? So if we have no current, when I say flow, no current, that would mean that the amperage, the current, is low. Well, that's not going to burn up the engine control module by having low current. If that injector was shorted, so if it was like the coils internally were shorted, and it's just wide open, pull as many amps as it possibly can, so basically just like a battery cable shorted positive and negative, now we're going to be pulling a ton of amps, going to burn up the driver inside the engine control module. But this injector is clearly just open, so I don't see how that burn up the engine control module. My only question is why won't it fire that, why won't it light that test light every time? I'm going to see, let me do something real quick here. Working out of somebody else's toolbox is never fun. I know that Mike didn't have Noid lights, and when Andy left, he actually, one of our former techs, great guy, he gifted Mike, he actually bought them and had them sent here, some Noid lights. Mike is not here, unfortunately. Mike is sick, so we wish him the best. Let's see if I can... Oh, look at there. All right, there we go. Let's put this guy in there. Then I can wiggle the wires around. We can know we're making good contact. All right, that's in. not blinking. And I'm wiggling and pulling, and there it goes. Now if I hold it like that, will it keep going? I need to move the wire. See guys, that's just weird. It's just random because I'm doing the same thing with this and it's still firing it. There it went away. Put it in this one. Well, guys, I don't know what to tell you. As we know, unless there is some kind of strategy. Yeah, why? Why is it not? Why is it not going sometimes? I was in the same spot. I didn't do anything different there. Did I put it in the wrong spot? Did I put it over here? Or did I? Yeah. All right. So let me go back over to this one. Just make sure I'm getting it in the right thing here. Maybe I'm getting. Let me get my glasses on, guys. I got to be sure of this. We got to be sure. That's 100% in that. That's 100% in there. And just doing nothing. Now I just want to watch it for a minute. I'm not even going to touch it. I just want to see if it starts working on its own. I don't see how that would happen, but there it goes. Just randomly starts working on its own. That's got to be a driver. That's got to be a driver in the module that's just not able to. And that's just a tiny load right here. This isn't much of a load, so I don't think this is going to be 1 amp. Oh, look at that, now it went away, and all I did was yeah. Let's just let it sit for a minute. Let's just watch it. I'm not going to touch it. I'm sorry. Just don't touch it, Sherwood. Let's see if it'll come back, and then let's see if it'll just go away on its own without touching anything. The engine's moving around just a little bit, guys, but not like, it's not like jerking all over the place where this thing is going to, make a connection or not make a connection. Cameraman is hovering right over the coil pack, so hopefully it doesn't get a little, hopefully those wires are good, doesn't get a little shock to them. There he goes, now it's on. So it's firing now. I don't know if you guys can see that on there, but it is firing. I'm not going to touch it, I'm just going to give it some shade and make sure you guys can see it. And we're just going to not touch anything and see if it just randomly, there it went off by itself. Didn't touch anything. Okay. Alright guys. I feel like this engine control module is no good. We're 100% going to, let me shut this thing off. We're gonna tell the client, you 100% need an injector. The injector's open. We've proven that out. And more than likely gonna need an engine control module if there's not a wiring issue. So you know what we could do to prove this is we can go to the engine control module, because on these things, I know they're not hard to get to. It's right there. You know what I want to do, guys, is I'm going to get to that engine control module, and I want to get that same, this control wire at the engine control module, right? Because we're questioning the wire right now. So let me get that same wire at the engine control module, and let's see if we get the same result there that we do here. So what I'll do is I'll put a scope on it here. I'll leave this noise light in. I'll put the scope on it here. I'll put the scope on it back there, and let's see if we get the same reading at both spots. Because if we do, we've proven that the engine control module can't fire that. If we get a good ground circuit at the engine control module, but we don't have it here, then that's a wire issue. Let me get that connector disassembled. Let me get the pin out pulled up, and then I'll come back and we'll have it on the scope. Okay, come on in. Here's what we got. Well, first of all, let me show you. Not that bad, although the engine was, it's still hot back there. But I've got the cover off the connector for the engine control module. All right, let me show you what we got. So I just came over. I couldn't print out. You guys know how I like to print out my pinouts and mark them. Not able to do that here, so I've just took 2 screenshots and I've marked it. So all the blue markings are my injector controls. I'm concerned about number 4. So number 4 is this one. So when I came over here, what I did was I looked, okay, number 4 is 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th one back. So I just came over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I just marked it here. And then I came over and looked and said, okay, what am I looking for? A blank spot, then a black and the white, a black and white wire, which is a ground, and then we're gonna have a white, and then we're gonna have the one I want. That kind of gives me a, you know, when I'm looking at the connector, because when we're looking at this connector, we're looking at it facing us. We're not looking at the wires. We're looking at the pins. So that just is what it is. So all I did was come in, and I could see that over here we had the black and white, and I don't have my flashlight, so you guys can see it way better than me, but there's a black and white wire, and then I just came over, there's a white wire, and then I got into the pin next to it. So this is going to be the same. This is going to be injector number 4, driver. It's going to be the control side. It's going to be the driver side. Okay, so that's going to be the green lead, and you notice I actually got the colors to match the channels. All right, the red lead is going to be on the same circuit at the injector, right? Still got the Noid light in, and then I've just got the blue lead in the control side of injector number 5, just to have that so it's on. I'm connected on all of them. I love this scope for this. That wire back there on the engine module, I thought I was in. I came out here, I'm like, oh, I'm not connected. What the heck? Had to wiggle it around. Boom, it went. The red went away, and we're good. So we're going to go ahead now. Whoops, I don't need fast capture. We're going to do that. Let's go ahead and actually, you know what I want to do? I want to go ahead. I don't need all of these extra channels on to just turn these off. All I want is that. I don't even need yellow because I don't have an amp clamp on it anymore. All right, here we go. All right, so what are we looking for? We're looking for, here we got our injector. It's being driven right now. Oh, is it still being driven? I can't. Yeah. Okay, very difficult to see, but okay. So our blue we know is good. So let me go ahead and turn that one off. It's just getting in the way. Now we've got a light. So we have a light. We don't have an actual injector hooked up right now. So that's okay. We can see it's being controlled. Now, so if it's on the red wire, it's going to be on the green wire. So I know that looks like the green is kind of coming in at different, the green is going to be exactly the same as the red. All right, so let's just keep it going. And let's just see if that goes away. And just see if it was maybe a wiring issue, or maybe I need to be looking at a wiring. I'm not touching anything right now. I just want to see if that thing goes away on its own. Now this didn't take me very long to get hooked up. I want to say maybe 10 minutes. So it definitely hasn't cooled off much. I don't want y'all to be confused about what we're seeing here. All we're seeing is a light being turned on. Again, we're not seeing an injector being turned on. That's why it looked different from the blue to the red and the green. But we're still seeing that it's able to carry a load and carry that little bit of a load on that Noid light. Now we could technically go around. I don't really want to touch it very much, but we can go around the red wire here. And there it went away. I didn't touch anything, and look, it went away. The engine went and then it went away. So now it's not firing, it's not doing green or red. Right? So it's definitely not a wiring issue, because I got the same thing at the module that I do out here. So is it a strategy issue or something like that? It's a 2002, guys. I'm going to look this up just to be 100% sure, but this is not going to be a strategy issue. This is going to be here it is coming back on again. I just don't see this being a strategy issue. If this has got some type of a timing to it, where it's, maybe I'll watch it for a few minutes and let's see if it turns on and off at exactly the same time, an interval of time, then that might be something I can look at. So I can go ahead and up my time base here. Let's do that, and let's just see if I'm thinking this is going to be a bad engine control module. I think that driver has been damaged. I don't know how that driver got damaged. The more I got to looking at this wire here, guys, and I think that wire was just so hot and had partially melted to the control wire that when I peeled them apart, it ripped that open. It just looked so clean in there. There, it went away. That I think that just happened when we opened it up. If that was shorted to the control wire, I 100% could see where that module would have been destroyed, but I don't think it would have turned on and off at all. So I think that was just a matter of it just had been hot. Wires were real close together. That's just kind of a deal of getting in here and looking at it, and I don't think that caused any issues. I just need to try to prove out in my head, how did that module go bad? All right, so here we have on and off. So I want to just see how much time it took for this to turn. How much time did this turn off for? Why am I doing this? Okay, if this thing turned off, if it's a random problem, if that driver in that thing is just getting hot, okay, we're looking at, hang on, let's see here. 30 seconds, right? 30 seconds. So now let's start again. It was off for 30 seconds. It's on now. I didn't measure the on because it was off the screen, but it's gonna do it again. If the off is for 30 seconds again, then there it is off. Because if it's off exactly the same time each time, then this could be a strategy issue. It might be turning it off and then turning it back on again, trying to see, is this gonna work? Turning it off, turning it back on again, is it gonna work? If it's not exactly the same time, and computers are computers, guys. They're working. They're not like gonna randomly turn it on and off at different times. It's gonna be exactly the same time if it is that. Okay. Stop. Get cursors. Let's see. That's pretty much dead on. That's pretty much 30 seconds again. So, okay. All right. Well, here's what we're going to do. I'm going back to what we originally said. We're going to put an injector in this thing. We're going to forewarn about an engine control module. Then we're going to run it, and we're going to see if this thing works. But guys, this is a way, using a scope, this is a way that you can kind of at least get a little semblance of, okay, why is it doing that? Why would it be turning it on and off like that? Is it a wire? Clearly not a wire issue that's turning it off for exactly the same time. It's not a connection issue turning it off for exactly the same time and on exactly the same time. So let's go ahead and see if we can't get authorization for an injector. Get one here and get it in there. Let's we'll come back. We're going to take this all the way to the end. So we'll come back when we have authorization and parts. Got a new injector in. Here's the old injector out of it. So here's what it is. Wanted to show you real quick. I've got the leads on the right sides this time. Put this in here, and I'm basically just going to go across these two, and hopefully, all right, there's our resistance on this one, so 15 ohms. Okay, well, that was a little bump of the camera. Pieces went everywhere of the mic system. So anyway, we're back. We see we had good reading there. So let's go ahead and plug that in. I've not started it yet since I put the injector in. I've got my red lead on the injector control side, so the driver. I've got my amp clamp around the power going to the injector. It can be either one. I've still got my blue into injector number 5. I still got my green into the control side or the driver side of the injector 4 circuit at the engine module. So go over here to the meter, and we go over here to the scope, look at the meter. I've got everything connected. We're going to go deep record. All right, let's go ahead and start it up. Immediately it's running good. I want to let it run. We want to see if we see any, so we definitely have a red now. We can see we've got some amperage down here. on the yellow, so that's doing something. Can't see the green because the green's going to be hidden in there, but we can see we've got blue. Obviously we had blue before. Now we've got red. It's driving it. I'm going to let it sit here and run for, you know, a minute. Let's just see if this thing drops out for some reason. Because remember, the Noid light was running for just a little bit, and the longer this car ran, then it got bad, right? So then it started turning it off and turning it back on again. So we're going to let it run. Right now, it does not. I mean, it's definitely running good. Let's go ahead and see if we can't. Unfortunately, we don't have any real data to get here as far as. Yeah, we definitely. Yeah, that's right. We do have the. Let's see if man, I wish this thing had the. I got to figure out what scanner's got that search on it. I see it in other videos that guys do, and I can't remember who I saw it on, but somebody had a search up there. Give me a shout out if you guys know either how to get the search up here, or if it's just a different scanner. This is the Alltel, I think MS909 or something. All right, let's get our long term. There's our long term. Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. Duh. Wait a minute. I'm doing short term. Come on, Sherwood. I'm gonna be all right, guys. It's all right.
I wanted to help you.
I know I'm struggling right now. Here we go. All right. Show selected. Let's graph it. Graph it. Graph it. Graph it. You know what? I want to graph merge. All right. So we're at 14 positive on bank 2. We are at. So right now, bank 2 is showing pretty much 0. If we take that short term and that long term together, you can see that's almost 0, and it's the same thing on the bank 1. So remember, guys, when you're doing fuel trims, you always take the long term and the short term and you add them together. So -2 and a 2, that's 0. 12 minus 10 minus 2, that's pretty much 0. It's running about 2. So we 100% are doing something different here. It's not jumping all over the place. This thing is not shutting off the injector for any reason. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Let's see what kind of amperage we have on the injector. Whoops. So there's our 2 injectors. Obviously blue is number 5. Now we see we've got amperage down there. So if we want to zoom in on that, we can. Okay, what's that other? Let's go back out actually. Let's do something real quick here just so that you guys can see it. There's our green right there. So our green and our red should be right on top of each other because it's the same wire, same circuit. Let's go ahead and zoom in down here. There's our injector ramp. Get the cursors. Let's see. Ah, sure would. All right, y'all. Start this over again. Do this. My battery's about to be dead. On my amp clamp. Let's do this one more time. Get a little bit here. I had not zeroed the amp clamp, so this would have made it really difficult. All right, we're good. Get the cursors, 0. And what were we on the other one? About an amp. And we're sitting just a touch under an amp. And remember that one, yeah, this one was close to the same resistance, so that's right. This is reading about close to the same amperage, which it should. So, I mean, this thing is, I'm thinking this thing's fixed. So we're gonna have to drive it, clear it, drive it, make sure. Guys, I said it probably 6 times that I don't think that's a strategy in this thing. It's too old. There's no way it's got a strategy in there to shut off that injector. Guess what? I was evidently dead wrong. This thing got some kind of a strategy in there to try to turn that injector off. Pretty powerful to have a scope. We've got to go, okay, that's on 30-second intervals, and this, computers don't work on randomness. Even a random number generator that's in a computer is not random. So when we saw 30 seconds, we're like, something's going on here. This thing might be trying to do that. And 100%, that thing was turning that injector off when it saw a misfire. It saw something it didn't like. I'm assuming misfire. I don't think it may be the circuit issue. And then it was trying to turn it back on to try to get it to work. And then it was turning it back off again. And it was trying to turn it back on again. So a little bit advanced for 2002, I think. But this is why I always tell people, don't assume anything. I almost assumed and, could have gone and put an engine control module in this thing, and I don't think it needs it at all. If this thing's going to be perfectly fine, we'll test drive it. If we've got an update, if something happens with the engine control module, we'll come back and let you know. But otherwise, we got this thing fixed up. Leave your comments down below. I would love to know if you know the search thing on this scanner. If you guys have done something different, same. What do you guys think? Questions? Just leave them down there. Thumbs up, subscribe, all the good stuff. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you in the next one.